Hello and welcome. Now in this video, we are going to turn NotebookLM into an audio branding guide. If you don't have a notebook that represents your brand, you're going to want to upload sources to a blank notebook representing your brand and your mission and things like your vision. You can also start with an existing notebook that describes how you do business. We are going to start with an existing notebook that describes how we do business. For this task, we're going to clear the chat and we're going to input a prompt based on all of the sources that we have describing the way that we do business. We are now going to use a prompt presented by Gemini, and this is not the only way you can create the synthesis. You do need to create a one-page document that we can use in other elements that will form the basis for creating music. We're going to gather the synthesis from NotebookLM using this specific prompt in the chat area. You should modify this prompt as you see fit. What we're going to do is we're going to change and configure the notebook, and we're going to customize the response. We're going to write into plain language what we want the response to be. So in this case, we're going to customize the response because the response is going to be different. We're going to ask for a longer response. We're then going to click Save. What we are then going to do is we're going to enter in our prompt, and our prompt is going to be based on the 56 sources that we have. We will now click Submit. Once we have our synthesis document, what we want to do is we want to eliminate the citations in this case. What we are now going to do is we're going to click Enter. What we're asking NotebookLM to do is to produce the documents without citation references so that we can place it inside of Gemini to create our music. So the first document you'll see has citations and references. That's not what we're going to need for our document. We don't need the citations, so we're asking to produce it without citations. We're now going to save this document to a note. Once the note is then saved, what we can then do is we can go to the ellipsis. We can then export this document to Google Docs. We now have our synthesis document that we can use now inside of Gemini. We'll add in some personalization to the document. We're now going to use a second prompt. Now again, you're going to want to adapt this for the specific kind of music that you want and for the specific direction that you want. We're going to use this prompt as is. You should adapt it as you see fit. We're going to copy this prompt and we're going to head now to Google Gemini. What we're now going to do is we're going to add in our files. We're going to add from Google Drive. We're going to add in our document. We're going to insert it. What we are now going to do is we're going to place in our prompt. And if we have pro queries left, we want to use them. We're going to use them in this case. We're now going to select and submit our prompt. Gemini will then describe what it wants to do. It will then provide us with a prompt. Now again, we're not going to edit this prompt and we're not going to edit the assumptions made by Gemini. These are things that you are going to want to evaluate very carefully. You don't want to just use the AI's output as is, as you will be using it as part of the music for your brand. What we're now going to do is we're going to now go to this element and export this prompt to Google Docs. We're now going to open Google Docs. We're not going to attach this document. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this content and we're only going to have the prompt. And we're going to copy the entire prompt. Gemini is ahead of us and asking us if we want to have this prompt run through Lyria. And that is what we want to have done. We do want to have this prompt run through Lyria. So what we can do is we can turn on create music. We can then say, yes, that is what we want. And then we will leave on the pro version. So if you have pro queries left, you want to use them, we will then click enter. And Lyria will then start to create our track. Okay, now in this case, Lyria said that something went wrong. We're going to input the prompt as is. And we're going to generate the prompt again. and we're setting the prompt in motion. And the track is now ready. You can then listen to the track. You'll see here that the track is 30 seconds. So you can listen to the entire track. And once you have completed listening to the entire track, if you like it, you can click on the download track button. You can download the video with the cover art, but in most cases, you will not be using the video with the cover art. You will be downloading the audio only. What we now want to do is we want to replicate this for internally within our team or our company. And since this is not customer facing, we want to use a gem for that purpose. We are going to head to Gemini and we're going to click on gems. We are then going to start by creating a new gem. We're going to give our gem a name. We're going to write in the internal instructions for the individuals that are going to be using the gem. We want to communicate to the user what they're going to be inputting. When we hit the tab button, you're going to see what your instructions are going to look like to the person using the gem. Now, this is going to be an internal gem that in most cases you will have already explained how this gem is going to work, or you're just using it yourself. You will already know. What you'll then want to do is you'll then need a prompt for instructions. What we're going to do is we're going to enter this prompt. And it's going to be based on the NotebookLM synthesis as well as the prompt that we entered. So now that we have both of those documents inside of our Google Drive, we're going to enter this prompt and we're going to attach those documents in the knowledge area. We're going to enter in our prompt. What we are then going to do is we're going to choose the default tool. The default tool is going to be creating music in Lyria. We're then going to add in our knowledge files. Our knowledge files are going to be from our Google Drive. What we're going to do is we're going to get our prompt, and we're also going to get our NotebookLM synthesis. We will then click Insert. What we can then do is we can then save our new gem. And our new gem has been saved. We can then start the new chat in order to test out our app. You're looking at a prompt that you do not have to use fully. You can adapt this prompt for exactly what you want to test out your application. What we're now going to do is we're going to copy this prompt and we're going to head to our new app. We're now going to paste in our prompt and we're then going to click Enter. If you have pro queries, you want to use them, and we're going to click Submit. And Gemini should then begin to create our new music for our specific brand. You'll see that the app is attempting to stay consistent with our brand. Gemini does give us a response, and so you're going to want to pay attention to this response. We're not going to respond to the response in this case, but we can listen to the new track. So you now have your new track. If you want to iterate with Lyria, what you can do is if you don't want lyrics, you can state specifically that you don't want lyrics or you don't want singing, and you can state that what you want is an instrumental track only. We're not going to go through that process. We have now created an internal application to create our music. Question is, could we do this for others? And of course, we can do it for others in a customer-facing application using the Google Opal engine, and we will undertake that in another video. Okay, so thanks, and I will see you in the next video.